Welcome back to my Friday sews. I think it's episode 17 now. Now it is only Friday, right? So the Friday before. So I've had a video go up this morning and I'm just going straight into the next video like I did last week. So if you watched my last video, you will know that we're in isolation because my youngest son has been diagnosed with COVID, and because we've got the variant going round, so he seems a little bit better today. He said his throat is hurting, and he said it hurts his eyes to like look left to right, and his taste buds are all, he's just like, he's wanted to eat either his absolute favourite things or there's things he normally likes and he just can't tolerate them, that kind of thing. So yeah, but he's doing okay. Well, I've just got to monitor him over the next few days and things. So I've got lots to show you already. Actually, I've got a couple of books that I've mentioned to you recently, some Japanese sewing books that I ordered, and I suppose I could have included them in last week, but it ended up I waffled on a lot, didn't I, in my last one. So, and then I didn't have time to show you things, and I'd actually finished my bag yesterday and I could have squeezed it into my last Friday sews, which would have been quite nice because you saw the start of things, but I just thought, oh gosh, this video is so long, I had to delete bits as it was. So I just thought, no, I'll include it in next week and try and keep an eye on how long I'm filming for. And I've had my Mandy Shaw turn up, and I've started my husband's apron, so I'll talk a bit about that, and I'll show you a sneaky peek of the Bosco bag, which we're not going to be getting just yet, but it's the final bag of the Crafty Gemini bag club. So what shall I start with? Well, I'll tell you what, because we ended on the bag, I'll start with the bag, and I'm delighted with it. Now there is one more bit of top stitching I can do. That what it is, I got ahead of the pattern, and then I looked back and thought, oh, I should have done an extra layer and a top stitching, which I haven't done. But the machine's all threaded up with the same needle, dark thread, so I could go back to it, and here it is. Right, and I'm so delighted with it. I love map fabric. I love maps in general anyway. So, and I just love map fabric. And do you know what, thinking about it, do you know what I said to you? I think I might have bought the fabric from Owl and the Sewing Cat. I don't think I did. It did feel different to Owl and the Sewing Cat fabric I've had before. I think I might have got this from a show at the NEC. Do you know, in the Midlands there's a lot of like craft shows and Festival of Quilts. I think I might have got it from there, but I'm not 100% sure. Sometimes you forget, don't you, where you get these things from. So yeah, it's come out. I think the navy binding in the Jules fabric has come out okay, and that's the back, and that's the inside. Oh, have I got something in there? Oh, I've put what it is, I've been tidying up my bedroom and I put a load of things in it to carry it downstairs. So, and there was something still in it. And that's my pocket inside. It's like loose look like that. And do you remember me saying it wasn't supposed to be lined, but I wanted to line it? Well, I've just lined it in exactly the same in the map fabric. And I think that will bring me joy, seeing that lining. I know nobody else sees it, but it brings you a little joy, doesn't it? But what Vanessa said in the bag club, she just wanted to keep the cost of things down and minimal materials. So she didn't even use any interfacing with the pocket or anything. But I didn't use interfacing either. I just used 2 layers of this. This is heavier than what it is. The bag was supposed to be made in quilting cotton with the interfacings. Now I've used the interfacings that Vanessa suggested, plus I've used heavier weight fabrics for the outer and the inner. The only thing that I'd say is probably close to what Vanessa said is the handles, the bag handles. But yeah, it's really nice. And thank you for the suggestion. Was it Lorraine? Somebody suggested me putting some fray check on my old bag. So that's a great idea. I think what I might do is cut those little bits off, I think I'll zigzag it in like a beige or something, and then probably put a bit of fray check on it as well. But I'm not overly fussed, really. It's so old, and it kind of, like, I know those are a bit of a mess, aren't they? But I just take it to ukulele practice. I'm not like overly worried about it. And I used to, do you know the bee bag that you might have seen? It probably was in my last video. I was wearing it because I was about to go out Sunday morning to buy my dad a birthday cake. I've made that exact bag in that fabric. So it was a bit of a matching set. I used to have the crossbody bag in this fabric, and then that used to be my grocery bag. So this bag has had all kinds of uses, but now it's just ukulele. So I hope you've seen those bags and the comparisons and things that I was showing you in my last video. And I haven't thought exactly how I'm going to use this bag, but a girl can never have enough bags. I probably could do with a walk-in wardrobe, really, to put things in. And I've really got to have a sort out of my wardrobe. I can find normal clothes, but you know, when I want things like, I think, oh, I'll put those leggings on, or I need this, you know, just house things. I can never seem to find my house things. I think I do need to organise it. It's a bit of a nightmare. So anyway, right, what shall I do next? Should I do the Mandy Shaw? Then I'll do the Japanese dressmaking books, and then maybe I'll go on to the apron, because that's the next thing I'm going to be working on and things. So yeah, Mandy, spotty bag. Now I cannot believe I've got this on a Friday, because what it is normally, I know some people get it Friday. I think some people might have even got it Thursdays, but I'm not normally that lucky. Sometimes I'm lucky enough to get it Saturday, sometimes it's Monday, but I've been lucky, haven't I? So here we go. And look, yet again, there's a hole. Now I don't know if the hole is because the postman's trying to squeeze it through the letterbox. Maybe that's why. So I'm going to start ripping into this now, and if there's a bit of noise I might have to cut it out. So if you ever notice that there's a couple of weird bits, sometimes it's where I've cut bits out while I'm rustling around. Sometimes it's when I've whittled my video down and I've got too much footage and I'm trying to cram it to about an hour minimum kind of thing, maximum I mean. So sometimes I have to cut out bits that sometimes I think you might enjoy, but it's just the way it is. So I'll try and not do that. I'll try and just keep them small. I've put it all in a pile like this, right? Now the first one, you normally get a load of linen. In previous ones, that's what I've managed to get. That's why I made those spring shorts. But this looks a little bit different, and I don't know if it's linen. It looks like it's calico, but I don't know. So I'll have a little look. Right. This is so sweeties. Look at those. So what have we got here? That contain butter. Are they like Werther's original kind of things? And these two were the same, really. And do you know the lollipop tree I bought? Wow, we ate all the lollipops. My husband was not interested. I had to buy another one. So I've actually got it now. I've ordered it on a subscription, so I'll get it every few months. So yeah, they're going down well. Or not all that good for your teeth, I suppose, though, are they? Right, I'll pop those back in. Now I must admit, if I didn't open these while I was filming, I'd probably pop a sweetie in my mouth and then open the rest. But I opened them in front of you, so I'm not going to do that. This looks really exciting. Right, so I'm going to probably get one of the most boring things out of it first. Some fusible interfacing. Oh no, it's not. It's not interfacing. It's paper-backed. Oh, it's for applique, or applique as a lot of people call it. But I've settled on applique. I must admit, I've called it applique for a long time, and a lot of other people, you know, call it applique. But I'm really convinced you should call it applique, because the term means applying fabric to fabric. So applique, apply, it just seems to fit more, doesn't it? So that I've settled on applique. So if you wonder why some people say applique, you know, it's just, you know, that's how I say it, right? So there's some of that, and some Aurifil Lana 12 weight. Now, I have worked with this before, and I've used it for blanket stitching with a good needle with a big eye, and I did it on my Santa. I don't know if you ever remember, it's been a while actually. I made a Mandy Shaw Santa sack, but I lined mine, so mine looked, I put a fur lining in mine. I don't think it was supposed to be lined from what I can remember, or maybe it was lined but not fur. I can't quite remember, but you might have seen that in the past. But I used this for doing the top stitching. Now I do remember my machine, it was skipping the odd stitch and I was having to take bits out and then redo it. So but I was working with something pretty bulky, so maybe that was my problem. But it does look really nice, it does, for like top stitching and things. So I'm guessing this is what we're going to have to use in the new quilt, which I am planning on making this one. We haven't been given a picture of the whole thing, only a snippet, but I did find it quite appealing looking, so I think I'm going to be making it. Now here are some fabrics. Right, we've got, it looks very bright red. Now, Mandy sometimes works in like a deep red and then sometimes a bright red. This looks like this project's going to be very bright red, which is great. Sometimes I'm in the mood for the deep red, sometimes I'm in the mood for the bright red. And that, it's double the size of that, it's folded in half. There's this one, look, it's cotton, but it's got like that linen look. I don't know if they call it linear. So there's some cream colour, another cream colour. One looks a bit more calico kind of look about it, but it will probably explain in the instructions. Oh, and quite a substantial piece of fabric here. It's basically a piece that's salvage to salvage. It's folded in half, look. And I'll measure how long it is. It looks about 20 inches, or maybe just shy of that. So I can't wait to see what we've got to do with these. I think this project might be quilt as you go. I don't know if you'll have to like piece. I think the impression I get from this quilt that you're going to make lots of blocks, you're going to bind them, right? I might be wrong, and then we're going to be sewing all the bindings together, so it's not going to be such a big job at the end when we've done all the blocks. You know, like with that one, after I've done all the blocks, then I've got all these little things to do and then piece it all together and whatever. I don't think it's going to be like that. It's going to be more that you'll be more complete with each month. I feel like I'm losing my voice actually, excuse me, just have a sip of water. Now we normally get a booklet, but this looks like it's all A4, and it's based, and it says Secret Society News, Issue 1. Now, since Mandy's and Secret Society, this is my third time in it. I did the first one, I didn't do the second, I did the third, and now I'm doing the fourth. So, yeah, but I only made one quilt out of the two I've been in before. So in this month's blocks, we're going to be doing block A and block B, and it does look a bit of a an alphabet kind of quilt by the look of it. Now the first one, I really like this. Mandy loves her angels, so that's block A with the angel, and it says A is for applique, and with one of Mandy's angels, and there's B for buttons. Right, so they look really enjoyable to make. And she says there's a recipe for Mel's blueberry muffins. There's iron-on transfer for the blocks, a reel of Aurifil thread, a meter fusible wedding, 2 backing fabrics and 2 background fabrics, and 1/2 metre of fabric for the lettering, instructions for making the blocks, sweets, which are sour apples, might as well not have guessed, and butterscotch. Oh, very nice. Right, and it says that we're going to get an extra download off the Secret Society page, and it's called My Favourite Buttons Pattern, and it's basically a red work thing, and you basically sew buttons on and you bind it and you hang it, kind of a little bit like that stitch sampler I did in one of the clubs before. Then there's all these button facts. There's the recipe for the blueberry muffins, and there's a picture. Then it's the block A instructions, a bit about the binding, and it shows you a picture of B. So I'm guessing there are instructions for all of them, but I think they're self-explanatory. If you've done applique and red work, iron-on transfers, binding, I don't think it's going to be too bothersome. Actually, the way it's bound, and I've done this kind of binding before, do you know when you make your backing piece bigger than your front piece, and then you fold over your backing pieces to make the binding, it looks like it's like that. So that's interesting. And here's the iron-on transfer for A. That's gorgeous, isn't it? Oh, I think I'm going to love this quilt. Really going to enjoy working on it. And there's B. Oh, it's upside down. Goodness, now I'm going to pop that in my new bag club bag, and I guess that can go back upstairs. And well, I will have to do the iron-on transfer down here, but I'll come back down. Now, I did order a little something that I thought would be good for my advent calendar. Now, if you've been watching my videos a while, you'll know that I'm trying to... There's somebody at the front door. Hopefully it's my husband or somebody out there. I'm trying to collect little things to do my own advent calendar. I'm not saying I might not end up buying one, but just in case. So I've got something else for it. And shall I tell you what it is? No, I won't tell you. I won't know what it is, but hopefully by the time... unless I cave and I end up opening it. So that's going to go with my advent calendar things. I was itching to open it, but I'm not going to. I'm trying to think where I got it from. Anyway, right. The apron. Where's the fabric? Oh, do you know I was going to show you what I'd got left from that bag I made? Do you know the bag I showed you in my last video that I completed? This is what I've got left. You know, you saw this bit. I've got that bit left. Those buttons I didn't end up incorporating into the bag. Didn't need them. I've got that's spotty. You can't see that very well. And this piece. Nice substantial piece. That could make a nice cushion, couldn't it? So yeah, I couldn't make a whole cushion cover without obviously getting some backing fabric and things. But yeah, I've got a little bit more to play with. I could even make a coaster with that, couldn't I, or something, which would be nice. So I'll pop those there. And now the apron. Now, I showed you this, didn't I, last week? Now, I must admit, I'm feeling a little bit tired today. And I don't feel like really getting stuck into this, and it's Father's Day tomorrow. But I think my husband will understand if, you know, I haven't made it. But I have bought him a gift, and I've ordered him something and a card, so they're going to be arriving hopefully tomorrow. Actually, no, it's not tomorrow, sorry, it's Friday today. Saturday, so maybe I could, if I'm fit, get up early tomorrow and just get cracking and get working on this. So those are all the pieces that are going to go on the apron. And remember me saying it wasn't a pattern. This actually wasn't a pattern. You have to take measurements. So I got a load of measurements, which kind of was a bit of a spoiler with my husband. He doesn't know what I'm making. He says, "What are you making me, a bib?" From where I measured him here and like down to his waist and things. And then from that, you basically make your own paper pattern. And then it tells you how they recommend you making it. So that's that, and it's on here, and I'll move those books a moment that I'm going to show you. And this is it here. So I didn't do it how they said. They told you to draw it straight onto the fabric. I've drew it onto paper, and I've done it as a half, and I've done a fold. So I've cut on and fold. So there's my fabric cut out, and that's the pattern. And I've just got it laid on here, and that's as far as I've got. So I think you do a little bit of hemming first, and then you start doing the applique. You don't do all the finishing. I think you just fold these bits over here just so you know where to stitch to and things. But I've still got the navy thread in the machine, so I'm going to decide whether I want that extra layer top stitching on my bag, and then I'll go from there and then start work. It's going to be quite a job, isn't it, right, working on all of that. And yeah, and I'll just try and go a bit, I remember seeing it on the TV and what they're doing. I think I'm going to do it similar layout, but I'm going to do things a little bit differently, I think, to what I saw when I saw it, that panel getting advertised. Right, now we're going to go to the books, the dressmaking books. Now, I was telling you that I'd been looking at some Japanese pattern books, and some of the reviews were fantastic and some of the reviews weren't very good, and you were looking at about, like, 65% positivity. But when I looked at things, people were complaining that the size inclusivity wasn't great. But I thought, well, Japanese people are quite small and it might suit me. But actually, the size inclusivity is actually better than some of the critical reviews. So one of the critical reviews I remember saying the sizes are no bigger than a UK size 12, but they said it's actually encouraged me to slim down because I'm desperate to get in these patterns. That made me laugh, actually. But actually, when I've looked at the size inclusivity, it does say, I don't know, it's measured in centimetres, and it does say a size 16. Now, I don't know if this is a UK 16, but the maximum bust measurement on here is 40¼ inches, 40¼ inches, which is 102 centimetres. The waist, in the maximum waist in inches is 33, and that's 84 centimetres, and the maximum hips in this particular book is 43¾ or 111 centimetres. However, some of the patterns in this book look very boxy and oversized, so I think if you're a bit over, you might be okay. I can't say for sure, and sorry, I don't want to say, oh yes you can, and I haven't made any of these yet, so I don't know, because obviously I'll be wondering what size to make for myself, actually, because what I find with these patterns, I think the bust looks very small in comparison to the waist and hip measurement, so I might have to do a bit of grading and things. So that was that book I was talking about, and it's called Stylish Dress Book, Wear with Freedom, and that's what it looks like. And the next one is called She Wears Pants, Sew It Yourself, Fashion with an Edgy Urban Style. And apparently these books contain all the patterns. Now, some of the reviews, I think, on this one were saying they was a bit annoyed because some of the patterns you see, they're not even in the book, right? They're not, I think they're like models own. But I must admit, I haven't looked at this book yet. I've looked at, because it's not long arrived, I have looked in this one, and from what I remember, every single pattern that you saw, well, apart from like maybe if she's got a pair of trousers underneath it or leggings maybe, but I don't remember not feeling not happy about it. But this one, hello, hi Declan, yes you can, enjoy. That was my middle son coming for a lollipop. I keep the lollipop tree in here So yeah, he's popped in for a lollipop. It's like mid-afternoon, so he's probably getting the munchies, isn't he? That awkward time. So yeah, so this one, well, apparently it's all dresses, so it's not going to include the leggings and the trousers underneath. They say it's dresses, don't they? And I suppose that one that says she wears pants, I'm sure there's other... Now, pants in the UK means underwear for ladies. Pants, you know what I'm saying? Pants in America, I don't know where... This is like Japanese, and I don't know who's converted it to English, but pants means trousers in America, right? And actually what's quite funny is because children in the UK today watch a lot of American YouTubers, my kids actually say a lot of American things. My youngest says pants, and we're like, no, it's trousers in the UK. And he just can't get his head around the word trousers. He says it's pants. I say no. You know, and at ukulele practice, there was a guitar made out of a tin, like, dustbin. And he said he was calling it a trash can, you know, because they watch Americans, don't they? So, yeah, it's quite funny, actually. Because, obviously, we didn't have those influences when we were young, unless you knew an American or a foreign person. But this day and age, you know, we get to hear each other's lingo, don't we? So it's quite funny. So yeah, there's some lovely, very romantic looking, not really, probably say a lot of it is not really my usual style, but I am branching out a little bit more. So I'm not talking about each and every pattern in here. I'm just letting you get a feel for them. But what I find really nice, she uses quite like fabrics that I often haven't used, right, in my dressmaking journey. But she actually says what they are, which I think is really nice. You know, she doesn't say just use lightweight woven, this, then this can work. I think she tells you what, I'm sure from what I read, it could tell you what you could use, and she told you what she used. They're very little girl-like looking, aren't they? Now, it is a lady's book, I assure you, but they are very little girl-like, some of them, aren't they? But yeah, I just thought they would look delightful, really. So yeah, I think the sizing, I'll probably go more by my lower measurements, and then hope that the tops. But what I'll probably do is I'll make toiles. I'll toile up maybe. I wouldn't just suppose you toile up one bodice. I think they're all going to be quite similar. That one looks a little bit more fitted, doesn't it, round the bust area. Now, it says coordination. I don't know if it tells you how to make that, and that's the final page. Now, what it does, it shows you just pictures of the patterns, and then it will tell you all the instructions. The patterns are in the back, and then it will basically, they're all lettered, so that's U, V, V, and then they're labelled like that in the back. So you have to sometimes... when I look through the back and then you see the line drawing, I think I don't remember seeing that one. And then you see it made up and it can look totally different to what the line drawing, can't it? So the designer is Yoshi. No, I'm going to show you because I can't pronounce it. Can you see? Right. That's the designer, and it's the other yeah, and it's the same. Is it the same? No, it's the same book publisher look, Turtle, but it is a different Japanese designer, Yuko Takanda, I think, one, and she wears one. Now this is the one. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to show you this now. I'm going to sit upstairs and and have a little, what time is it? It's 2 to 3 in the afternoon. I'm going to go and have a little sit down, have a drink, maybe have a sweetie, and I'm going to have a look through it. And then what I'll do is I'll talk about this one next time I film. And and I'll tell you a little bit about this, because all I know, I flicked through it and there wasn't just trousers in it, there was other things. So yeah, it's nice that I've had a little look through first. So thank you so much for joining me so far, and I'll see you soon. Okay, see you in the next bit. Right, I'm back. It's still Friday, but I've read this book now, so I thought I'll come back and show you. Now, I watched my video back that I've done already this afternoon. I thought, I can't believe how long it is. So I'm like, I'm not be able to do much more filming this week, am I? So what I might do is, just whatever I get sewn this week, do this. Whatever I get sewn this week, come back and then finalise it Thursday. So yeah, I can't really be doing a video diary all week because I'll be having to cut it all out anyway, aren't I? And what was really annoying in that bit of video, I could see this sitting there and it was really aggravated me, but I opened that thing live, so I don't really want to redo it, do I? Anyway, this book now, it's really made me laugh, this title actually. Now, it's called She Wears the Pants, right? Now, I thought, well, it's all about trousers, but then I said to you there's more than trousers in it. Now, I totally get it now. I don't know why I didn't see it before. Now, in the beginning, it says about, more and more women are making their own clothes. And it's basically, this sewing book focuses on the increasing popular borrowed from the boys look, right? And now it's basically available in English. So I totally get what this means. Now, do you know, if you ever meet a couple, a man and a lady that are a couple, and the lady, you think, oh, she's definitely the boss of that couple. Do you know what I'm saying? You'd use the term, in the UK anyway, I don't know about everywhere else, she wears the trousers. I don't know if you ever heard that term, she wears the trousers. And that's what it is. She wears the pants, she wears the trousers. And it's basically a bit of a boyish kind of look for ladies. But do you know what? I've had a look through and there's nothing boyish about it. They're really different, really different. Now, some of the photographs, they don't really give you a good indication of what they look like. They look a bit dark and you can't see the lines. But then when you see the line drawings, you can get a good idea. And a good example of that is like number 1. Look, that's a coat. And I was thinking, well, is it a coat with a short sleeve? Like, what is going on there? So I've had a look at the line drawings. So I was having to look at the line drawings as I went along. But luckily, it does say what page each of them are on. Right, that is what that coat looks like. It looks totally different, but it looks fab, doesn't it? It's so different. I find the patterns in this, they are quite different to things I've seen before. Now, the next one, it's called the jumper skirt. But it looks like a dungaree dress, or in America, overall dress, because they say overalls, not dungarees. Overalls in England are a workwear kind of thing. And that doesn't really give you a good indicator, really, of what it looks like. But I found the lines drawing is a bit tricky to figure out as well. There looks like there's a lot going on. I just can't. I don't think I'd struggle to make it if I wanted to make that, but I think it'd be the choosing of the fabrics. Thinking, why is there so many pieces? That was a bit confusing. Then the next one, it says mini dress. Now, you see you've got this double looking sleeve. Now with this, I've had a look at the line drawing. It's definitely that short sleeve. That must be something else she's got on underneath. I'm not criticising this book. I think it's really nice. And then the next one is this kind of boxy looking top. and it's got buttons on the shoulders. Now I thought that reminds me of the Breton top they made in the sewing bee, and it's got a button placket on the shoulders, and I've not seen a pattern like that. This one, it's very clear, isn't it, what it looks like. I don't think I'd wear that, in all honesty, but you know, you never know, do you? You might change your mind. Right, the next one, it says a square top, but you can't really see it, but it is repeated on page 52, but I'll show it you anyway. But you can't really see the square top, it's kind of covered. The next one, it says fleece jacket. Doesn't look fleece, but it looks really nice, doesn't it? It looks very nice. And then these, I think, do you know what? I think these are a love-hate kind of thing. They're so wacky. I want to make them. You know, one of those, you just don't know if you'd love it or hate it, but they're just really wacky. And I think the kind of thing my husband would say, what the hell are those, right? But look. Can you see they're like really baggy? Like, you could have a nappy in it, couldn't you? Do you know what I'm saying? They're either going to look fab or look horrendous, wouldn't they? Now, I really quite like the shape of this. The pom-pom blouse. Like, you wouldn't have to have pom-poms on it, but very boxy. I really do like the shape of that. And then the next one, it's called the square top. Now, look at the square top. It looks nice. Now you've got to see the line drawing of this. I was thinking, what on earth? Right, look, the buttons, right, they go all across the top, and the buttonholes, and it literally is a rectangle with these two holes coming off the side. Seems bizarre, doesn't it? But obviously you can't do those up because they'd be right up there. But yeah, it looks really like, because I, you know, like watching London Fashion Week. It's very like, you know, a bit out there kind of fashion. Then it's the draped mini dress. That looks very clear from the picture, doesn't it? The tapered trousers. They're nice, aren't they? The semi-flared clots. Now, maybe this is what people are saying, that some of the patterns aren't in here. Like that top isn't in here. There is a shirt in here, but I don't know if it's that shirt. And there's no dicky bow or bow tie, as some people call it, in here. There's the draped cardigan going off 2 pages. Now, the draped cardigan, I really like the look of this, and it looks very long, but on the line drawing, it looks very mini. Let me find it. That looks very tiny, doesn't it? Not long, but it just might be how it looks. And I thought, well, what have they used for that? And it says, outer fabric, cotton, linen, tea cloth. Now, that strikes me as, it sounds a bit woven to me. So maybe it is woven, but I'm not sure what cotton, linen, tea cloth is. But I'm guessing it's a woven fabric, so I don't know. I'll look into that. I could see me wanting to make that, in all honesty. I think there's a few things I'd like to make. Now, these look quite interesting. They're called tippets. They look like a waistcoat that sits on the front, and some of them look quite feminine looking. I've never seen anything like that before. I'm just checking that you can see, because once I put the book there, I can't see it. Oh, and she's wearing the tippets. Maybe, again, this is what people are saying, that I don't think the trousers that she's wearing in this picture are what are the trousers that we've seen. And these tops aren't in it, but they're showing you the tippets here. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe some people liked some of the other garments and then they couldn't make them. Right. For example, see that picture? That's on the back. So maybe if you picked up this book in a bookshop and thought, wow, I want that outfit. I don't know how well you can see that. That blouse isn't in it, and the trousers, they look the same, tapered, but they're elasticated waist. Maybe if you bought this because you fell in love with that outfit and then found out you couldn't make that top and trousers, I could understand why someone might be upset about that. And those aren't in it, those trousers look, and I don't think that shirt, like I say, there is a shirt, but I haven't looked at that first. This I thought is really nice. It basically is called the gathered blouse. I just think that's so nice. Not masculine at all, is it? Then the next one is the dotted blouse. Right, let me have a look at those other shirts. I think those other shirts had pointed collars. So the dotted blouse that looks very shirt-like, it's got a rounded collar look. So that's I'd call that a shirt with a round collar, but it's called the dotted blouse. And then the next thing is the semi-flared clots. Now she's wearing a top, a jersey top. It's a vest with buttons down. That isn't in the book. It's just the clots. I suppose it would be useful in a sewing book if you could basically make everything you could see they're wearing, I suppose. Now this is called the belt stole, and I've had a look at this, and you have to knit it, and it basically looks like a knitted thing that goes round your waist, and then it's got one scarf piece attached to it, and it's long, and I think she's wrapped it around herself. But that is a whole one piece, that is, but you've got to knit it, which is fine. I do knit, so if I wanted it, I suppose I could do it. Oh, that's a nice pattern. Nobody there, just says instructions. Just the title page. So I hope you've liked seeing that. I don't know what the size inclusivity is in this. Maybe, I don't know where it is, in all honesty. Yeah, so the only thing I can't tell you right now is what sizes it includes, but I suppose I can find that out. And when I come back and film later in the week, if I find out, I'll let you know. So, and I've got to look in my Tilly and the Buttons book, Love at First Stitch, because somebody was asking on my last video, they think they're missing a pattern out of it. But just to let you know, you can basically get all of Tilly's patterns out of the books, I think through a website now, but I think you've got to own the book to be able to have them. But to just let you know, so if you are missing something, you will be able to get it. But I'll have a check for you when I get a chance to sit there and have a look through. So thank you so much for joining me so far, and I'll see you in the next bit. Bye. Now, welcome back to the final part of my Friday sews. Now, I will admit it is only Tuesday today, Tuesday the 22nd of June. Now, normally I wouldn't finish my video so early, but I know, actually I'll put a timer on, I know that I've only probably got about 15 minutes of footage left to do, because I've had a look what I've recorded already, and because I showed the books and the Mandy Shaw unboxing, it's took it up to 45 minutes. So I just thought, you know what, I'll put a timer on and I'll try and talk about the things I've made, because what it is, I feel like I've got a lot to show you. So if I continue the week along and I make even more, I'm just gonna not have the time to show you everything. So I'm just going to show you what I've made so far. Now, if you follow me on social media, you've probably seen one of the makes already, and it was my husband's apron, and I managed to get it done. I don't know where those little food bits are. Now, I've got a tiny little bit of it left. I forgot to put the spatula on. I don't know if you noticed on that panel, there was a spatula, and there was a big drip of ketchup, where I used the small drip of ketchup but not the big one. The angle of the ketchup, once I'd put everything on, just didn't look right, so I decided not to use it. Excuse me, my nose. I think I have the corona. basically straight after my son got symptoms, so did I. And actually I didn't get an awful lot of sleep last night. I think one of the worst symptoms have been my throat, which feels better today, but I've been having this, like, it's like a head swirling feeling, and it just kept waking me up last night. And I think it was about 5 by the time I got to sleep, and then I've ended up getting up at 7, and I think I had about an hour's sleep when I dropped off, so I've probably only had about 3 hours sleep. So I think I'm going to be flagging a little bit later, and it's 2:20 now, so yeah. So anyway, my husband's apron, right, and you might have seen a photo. Actually, I'll pop a photograph of him wearing it, and there was a couple of comments saying, oh, look how proud he looks in his apron, but I will admit it's not the first photograph I took. It took a few takes. The first couple, he looked like he wanted to kill somebody, but we do laugh because he doesn't always pull the best face. He tries to have just like a straight face in photographs, but he ends up looking like angry, or he wants to murder somebody. But he didn't do too bad, so he did manage to crack a few smiles. But sometimes he goes the opposite way and he looks really cheesy, and it just doesn't look like him, because he doesn't have that cheesy look about him. But I think we got the shots, in the end. And what was quite funny is I was so excited about giving him the apron. What happened is I ended up giving him on the Saturday night, not on Fathering Sunday, and then I hung it on my mannequin. And I noticed that D there, I hadn't stitched the inside of the D. So on the morning of Father's Day, even though I'd already given him the apron, before we took the photograph, I went back and I stitched in on there. So do you remember me saying to you, I wasn't quite sure on how I was going to do the pieces, because I was a bit worried about doing free motion on it, because I thought, well, if you use like a dart thread, I thought it's just going to spoil it, right? So what I have done free motion on it, and I've done zigzag. So basically I zigzagged around the edging. I went round it twice, so it almost looks like a satin stitch, probably not quite as dense, but pretty dense. So if I wash it, it's going to minimise the fraying. The burger lid, I put in some lofty kind of wadding. It was like wadding, I think it was like a 5 ounce that I'd use on a dog bed, and I've got a bit of that left. So it's all like, if I turn it to the side, look, you can see it puffs out a little bit. Now, I put the ketchup on the side here with the drip, and those again I've just zigzagged. Now what I did is, when I made the apron, you have to sew a line down here, because the neck bit runs right through like a channel through to the back. So if you pull that, it pulls that basically. So I didn't want the dart thread spoiling the ketchup, so I actually used white thread or grey thread there, like a pale grey, and then again I put white thread on that D, and then the dark in between. I don't know if I had to do anything that side. Yeah, just that side. I would have had to just do a line of white stitch in there to do this channel for the strap, basically. Now, the tomatoes, the lettuce and the gherkin, I've just basically matched the thread and done a zigzag around it. The bacon, a zigzag. Now what I did with the onions, the red onions, I did a purple zigzag stitch around the outside. Then I did some free motion embroidery in the middle. I'll have to show you up close. Can you see that in the centre they were just solid white bits, which I think you were supposed to cut out, but you normally find it is quite white in the middle of a red onion. So I just did these swirly kind of things. I did this so fast, I must admit, because I had to keep changing the colour thread. I was exhausted, and I did it all Saturday. I spent most of Saturday on it, and it was Father's Day on Sunday, so I was just sewing. I'm surprised my machine didn't break. I really am, because of the speed I was sewing. Now, what I decided to do here, now when this panel, the food panel, was on Sewing Street. They just folded the top of the burger bit over and did make it into a pocket. But I've lined mine. I used some of the excess fabric, the canvas, and I've used that on the inside, look, to make the pocket. And here I've that's double-sided, so basically I've sewn the cheese pieces right sides together, trimmed it and then turned it out. The raw edges sandwiched into these bits, and you do kind of like just, this burger piece ends up quite big, and then once you keep sewing seams it kind of gets smaller and you're sandwiching all the edges in. I've got a bit of ketchup here that I zigzagged round. Now regarding this, now when it was on the TV, the panel, what they did here is they left this a raw edge. They used one lettuce piece, so it was white on the back, and they just used pinking shears. They use a sewed edge and then just did pinking shears, so it will like fray in time. And it did look nice, but I didn't really want the fraying, so I done the same as the cheese. I've basically used both pieces. I've bagged it out, I gathered it up, and I also added some extra stitching. They're zigzags, but you might not be able to see on here, but it just made the leaf bits pop out a little bit more, where I've put some extra definition. Now you don't really see that far away, but close up it does add something to it. And yeah, and I'm just really happy with how this come out. I love doing like fun things, so it kind of felt like a bit of dressmaking. Okay, simple. Well, it was pattern drafting, which I love, don't I? I love taking measurements and drawing on pattern paper and things. So you got to do a bit of that, drawing your paper pattern. So yeah, it felt like a bit of pattern design, drafting, you know, doing a bit of dressmaking and having the fun element. So it was a bit of an all-round fun project. Probably it would have been less stressful if I hadn't left it till the day before, but it worked out well actually, being in isolation, because I didn't go to ukulele practice and I didn't go to yoga on the Saturday, so I just got to stay home and do this, didn't I? I suppose I could have got out of yoga anyway, but ukulele practice, you know, I don't really like missing it. I don't really like missing either of them. You shouldn't miss your exercise either, but it's easy to think, oh, I won't bother going, you know. I must admit, I've cancelled the gym many times because I've just wanted to stay home and sew. It's a bit of, what do I want to do? Exercise or sew? You know, I know what I'd rather do anyway. So yeah, he loves it. And do you know what? I don't think we've got a barbecue anymore. I think we've chucked a few barbecues, so we do need to get a new one really. And yeah, and he'll get to wear his apron. Now, I'll show you what else I've been up to. Now, I have got a project on the go upstairs. I've been doing some red work embroidery and it's really lovely, so I can't wait to share that, but that's not going to be in this Friday sales because it's still work in progress. But I've been working on my blocks of my Mandy Shaw, so I'll show you what I've done so far. So that's the A that I've completed. Now the only thing I need to do, and it will add a lot, you've got to do a running stitch round the edge here. And that's kind of a bit, you go through all the layers because basically it looks like that. So these, basically, it's a kind of a quilt as you go kind of project. You're going to make all these blocks and then sew them all together at the end. Now this isn't bias binding, you just cut your panel piece bigger and then fold it over. But because of how thin it is, it's really quite fiddly. And I didn't really enjoy it. I have to admit, I didn't enjoy doing that. I have done it before, that kind of technique, but more like on tea towels and things like that, and I have done a fold over binding, but it was a bit thicker and it was a bit easier to work with. So that's that one. Now the difference is with what I've done is I didn't use the Lana thread that we were given to do the top stitching. I've used what I'm cotton embroider. And the reason I've used that is because Mandy was saying we needed a different kind of needle, which I didn't have, which is on order but it's not going to come till Thursday. And she was on about you've only got to cut really short lengths, this, and I've never hand stitched with that Aurifil Lana before, and I wasn't afraid to have a go, and I might do a little tiny, maybe a badge or something with it to see what I think of it, but I didn't want to take on such a massive project. And I've got to bear in mind we're going to be working on this for a whole year. Do I really want to start with something I've not worked with and I might not enjoy and not have the right needle to start with? Do you know what I'm saying? So I just thought, stick with what I know. But what I'll do is I'll use the Aurifil Lana on my machine to do a blanket stitch on the A, but I did a few stitches and it just kept breaking, and now that is probably usually because of the eye of the needle is shredding your thread. Basically, it's user error. Basically, you know, it will do it. I've done it before. I've sewn a whole Santa on it, but I remember it skipped stitches when I was sewing this Santa sack, and I remember I had to go back and do a few hand stitches to tidy it up, but I was sewing on a lot of bulk, but yeah, it wasn't really liking it. So I've just used Gutermann thread on that, and I think with the when I've done the top stitching, it will be great, and it'll be lots of fun because it'll be quite a nice thing to share my progress on Instagram actually and Facebook, because it's not a tatty thing, it's quite a neat looking thing, so I'll be able to post them, won't I? So you'll probably see these popping up individual, and now I'll show you the second one because we got two, didn't we? And this is the buttons. Oh yeah, another thing I've done differently with this is I used interfacing as well, and Mandy hasn't mentioned interfacing, so but I did interface mine, and now that was a like a cream cotton fabric, and this is a calico, and it's lovely, isn't it? All the buttons. I had lots of fun, and I think we watched Braveheart. I've seen Braveheart before, but while I was stitching away at this, and I've done the same. I've interfaced it, done the red work, and oh, that one I traced it. I didn't use the iron-on transfer. I traced it with a pencil, and this one I used the iron-on transfer. Now the only thing I'd say is you can still see some of the iron-on transfer around the edge of this one, and the reason being is if I'd have cut it on that iron-on transfer lines that were on there, my bee would have looked a bit wonky. So I've made sure when I've put like my rulers on it and made sure the bee was straight to cut it out. So I think I didn't fancy tracing all them buttons, in all honesty, but what I might do, this is a tip for the other members, if you think, I don't really want those lines printed on, I'd rather cut them off your iron-on transfer before you start, and then iron it on. And I think that's what I'm going to do if I'm not entirely happy, because Mandy gives you the sizes of what the blocks are going to be, so you can measure your iron-on transfer and see what you think and decide if you're going to leave those extra lines on or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that out in the sunlight. Oh my goodness, that's 15 minutes already. I'm going to have to cut some out, right? I'll show you. Right, I don't know what to do now. Is it going to go over an hour? It's going to have to go over an hour, unless I can cut some of the bits out. Right, now I've gone on. Do you know I started while I was waiting for some fabrics to pre-wash? I'd started cutting out those at the apron. Do you remember I told you I bought 2 fabric panels and it was to make 2 aprons, and I decided to do a double-sided apron, and that's what I've done. So here is my finished apron. So that's the green side, and that's the more indigo navy side. Now what I've done is it's meant to be a tie neck, but I've done one strap, I've bagged it out with either one, and I've done a button. I've done a buttonhole, but what I've done is I've put buttons on both sides. So if I'm wearing this side, I could have the button on the other side so it's not dangling down, and vice versa. When I'm wearing the green side, And if you wonder why there's buttons on both sides, it was a bit of a mistake. When I put the buttonhole in, I put it on the strap side and not the other side. So then I had to put another one. So I had them on both sides. So just as a design feature, not mistake, design feature, I've got a button on each side, on both sides. So they're both, you know, one obviously is a working one and one's just a decorative one. And what I've done is I've left the bottom open and I've hemmed it either side, and I've finished off all my edges. I overlocked all my edges inside. So I just thought it would hang a bit like, you know, like when you've got a skirt and a skirt lining and they're not attached, just so they could hang freely. And then if I had to do any tinkering around, now what I could get back in there, which I didn't in all honesty, but it was okay. But what you have to bear in mind when you're doing this, yeah, I didn't follow the instructions. These are the instructions you get on here. I didn't follow those, because if I'd have put you hem everything when you do it with one. You don't line it, but you couldn't put your strap right next to the ends because I had a seam allowance, so I had to make sure I left my seam allowance and move them down and across basically. So that is my apron, and I haven't I've only just sewed the decorative button on just before filming, so I haven't had a photograph in it or anything. So yeah, I'll have to photograph that. And what I decided to do, you were supposed to have pocket pieces now that were lined, so that, and it would have been an invisible pocket, so you wouldn't have seen it. You basically pattern match. That's the pocket outer and that's the lining, and that's the same with this one. That's the, is that the outer? No, that's the lining, that's the outer. And you basically, the way you would have placed it, you wouldn't have seen it. But I've decided to keep the pieces, and I've still got, I've actually lost one of the pieces that was for the other necktie, the green one. But I've still got the navy, like indigo one. And I've still got these. These were kind of like bonus bits I could have done like a frill with. That's that long look. So I've got one off one apron and one off the other. And I've got the instructions for the green apron. So do you know what? I'm actually going to use these to make another project. I thought, you know, it screams, you know, pouch, boxy pouch or something. Doesn't it? Something with the zip that I can use or something, doesn't it? So I've got lots to play with there. So you might see that up and coming. So I'm going to leave this video here. Now, the only thing I can tell you that you're probably going to see next week might be the Bosco bag. It's the final bag of, I thought it was a crossbody bag. It isn't, is it? It's not a crossbody bag. It's got mesh on the front, or you can have vinyl. So that bag is going to be released tomorrow on Wednesday. But because I'm in isolation, if I haven't got the fabrics, then I know I've got the mesh, I know I've got the interfacing, I know I've got the webbing, I know I've got the zips. It might be the yardage, or I might, you know, I might not, or the meterage. I might not have what I want to use. So that might not be happening. Well, it depends, because my last day of isolation is a Sunday. So yeah, so I've got another Friday. Yes, I've got another Friday. So you never know. This might be up and coming, but I don't know what else right now. But I'm probably going to do the running stitches on these, and I'm going to continue working on my red work. So other than those two things, I don't know what else is going on at the moment. But yeah, there's no doubt with what's going on, I'm going to have lots of time to do other things, hopefully, because I'm going to have a week and a half now until my next Friday sews. So hopefully I'll have lots to show you, and maybe I'll show you less of books, because it doesn't give me a lot of time to show you my makes, does it? So thank you so much for joining me for another Friday sews. Obviously there's no little outings or anything because we're in isolation and things. So and we've postponed the Father's Day meal, so we are going to be going to that when we're out of isolation, which will be nice. So thank you so much for joining me today for my Friday sews, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye.